Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to work on a Newell reel. And Newells are, well, they're usually well known for their dependability and reliability, but this one, well, this one is completely stuck. This one was sent in by Nick. This is the 220-M. And, well, most of the Newell reels that you see have the metal trim rings around it. This one does not. It's just straight graphite. And, well, it's not moving. So I'm curious as well as encouraged to go see if we can't fix this reel and get it back out there in service again. Well, we're going to show you how to take this reel apart. We're going to show you how to service it after we diagnose the problem, and hopefully show you how to remedy the issue. Well, while I'm doing the removal of the exterior parts, I'm going to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos. And, well, if you do subscribe, please use that notification button. I just removed the handle nut cap, and then there is a C or an E clip that holds the gear shaft to the bridge shaft. And you need to remove that before you remove the handle. While I'm doing this, I want to encourage you to take pictures along the way if you're servicing a reel that you're not familiar with. Of course, I'm taking pictures, and I'm kind of familiar with this reel as well. But it never hurts to have a backup source in case something goes wrong. And interestingly enough, in my comments this morning, I was reading of another fellow who owned a Newell reel and said he took it apart and he's having trouble getting it back together again. So pictures will help along the way. So critical junctions like here, where you've removed the handles and the like, you want to know where those shim washers go. So the collar's getting stuck, but that's all right. We'll work on that in a moment. There's 3 screws that are holding on the side plate to the frame. We're going to remove those next. And I've tested this. It's not only not turning, but the free spool release is not working. And that usually means that the spool pinion gear is frozen to the spool shaft. If that's the case, this will be a struggle, but we might be able to get that done. It's all depending on the setup of the reel inside. All right, there's 3 of these screws, and when I remove the screws, I put them into a parts tray. I use a fast food container, but that parts tray helps me to keep the parts organized for when it's time to put it all back together again. Now we're going to see right away what the issue may or may not be when we take that 3rd screw out. This is the 2nd. So who was Carl Newell, and what is the Newell reel? There's kind of a legend and a myth, I guess, that goes with it. But the legend is he was not a make-up story at all. He was a plastic composites guy out on the West Coast, and loved deep sea fishing and wanted to find ways to build reels that didn't fail in the saltwater environments, and he did a really good job of that. Notice when you take out the screws, there may be different size screws. If there are, you need to mark where they are. This was the short screw, this was the long screw, and I suspect that this one on this side will be a long screw as well. Some reels you'll find you have 2 or 3 or 4 different types of screws in that side plate. That happens a lot on spinning reels. So just be aware when you take them off. If you try to put the short screw in a long hole, it may or may not work. And, well, if you try to do it in, this is not freeing, it may not be freeing because of this. I'll just try and slide a razor knife in here, see if we can't get it off that way. This is kind of confirming what I think I already know, that pinion gear there is frozen. There we go. Okay. Well, we got this off. The back bearing came out, not a big deal. Frame, you don't need to take this side of the frame off. There's nothing going on in there other than the click and that back bearing. So what I'm going to do is just put the bearing back in there, and I'll oil it in the hopes that we're going to be able to free that other issue up. Well, normally this would have come off with the spool being popped out. That's not the case here. So what we want to do, after we kind of tie down this line here so it doesn't get in the way of everything, we're going to remove the bridge plate now. And we'll work at this backwards in terms of how to get that spool off. This happens a lot on the newer jig masters, believe it or not. They're not associated. So back to the myth. So a lot of times people say that Carl Newell invented the jig master. Some folks say that he worked for Penn. None of that is true. Carl was an independent, and well, he uses some jig master kind of parts in here. I think the drag washers come off of a jig master. Maybe even these side plate screws may be threaded to the Penn side. So there are characteristics that kind of look like Penn. And so a lot of people say he worked for Penn, but that's, to my knowledge, not true. He was a plastic composites engineer, which is why he was working in graphite and some of these other materials. That's also why the reels like this one hold up, because, well, he used stainless steel for the metal parts, not just simple steel. All right, let's see if we can get the case off now. This should not be an issue here. There we go. Case is off. There's a bearing stuck here. And that's what we have here. We have an issue with the pinion gear being frozen and, well, being unable to be worked. Checking on this one. Okay, let's see if what we can pull off here, what we can't. The collar comes off. We should be able to get this. That bearing is in the way now. It's a shame that even the bearing is frozen on this. Let's spray that down a little bit. Try all kinds of little things, tricks, like get a wrench here to see if you can't lever it off. See if you can't use the wrench as a spacer for a screwdriver to rest against. We got a little bit of movement with that. I'm going to shut the camera off, play around with this. You don't need to see me just twist and turn. We'll figure this out and get back to you in a moment. Okay, so the bearing coming off was more of the same. It was just using some wrenches to pry up, and eventually it pried off. You can see that there's a lot of rust here. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the gear shaft, or at least the gears on the shaft. And there's a little washer behind here. Everything on this reel says this reel has not been serviced in a very, very long time. And the gear shaft too is frozen to the post. Sometimes you can grab a wrench like the one I just had and hold and turn. In this case we can't. So there's two issues here. This one's frozen. This one's frozen. Very, very unusual. So my initial thinking here is this one probably got underwater and caused the failure. I'm going to spray the pinion gear all around with some penetrating oil. You can do the same up top, but I don't think that stem is going to move very much. I'm going to find the smallest wrench I have, and I apologize if you're looking at my elbow right now. I'm going to match one up to this. I could use the handle, but for what I'm going to do, I don't think. All right, that's going to be as good as I can get with that. And we're going to turn to heat as a way to try and free this up. We're going to use a plumber's torch. And please, if you're going to go this route, be careful. It's not often easy, right? And there's going to be heat involved with this, and we already have a little penetrating oil on here. So it's going to be something you want to pay heed to. I'm going to hold the spool. I'm going to heat the stem. What that's doing is it's expanding the two different metals, the one on the post, and you can see that penetrating oil is bubbling. We'll try that on here too. I don't want to plug the that spool gear is going to be a little tough because there's springs there. I don't want to kill that spring tension. All right, I'm going to hold this thing down, see if we can't turn with the heat. Wow, that is really frozen on there big time. I'm getting no movement whatsoever. All right, well, this is an iterative process. We'll just continue to do what we were doing. We're going to spray this down, spray the other one down, let it just sit. We'll come back. Okay, here's what I did. I've remounted the bridge to the side plate so that I could have a better hold on that bridge, continuing with my small wrench and with penetrating oil, and you can see I've been able to free up that post. Now whether we can get that post off could be another issue. Probably going to be iterative. Some heat, some penetrating oil, trying to lift it off. Well, this is something that I have some hopes for. Maybe, just maybe, we can get it going again. The bigger issue we're going to have here is that pinion gear, because I can't get the back end off to get that spool out. So we're going to have to try some different methods with that. It may just be that I'm going to be soaking this overnight as a way to free this up. I don't know. This is what makes real repair interesting. Sometimes you got to be a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes or something. But my guess is this reel was underwater, not cleaned out. It's very unusual to have stainless parts go this route. Now, let's see if we can lift this up. We can. Look at that. He gets lucky. He shoots, he scores. All right. And you can see all of the rust that was on that. And the only way that I know to break something like that is heat. All right. The other one's going to be a little bit more difficult because of these springs. I don't want to lose the tension on those springs. But I do have a pathway here, I think. I'm looking below. Yeah, this one's on totally tight. This is a shame. Okay, well, we're going to keep soaking it, keep trying, try a little fire, try some things, and well, we'll report back to you. This may be a lost cause here without damaging something that I kind of hope not to damage. Okay, success. And again, you can see all the rust that was on there. What did we do? When this was on the post, I matted that with a kitchen scrubby so that I could protect the threads. I grabbed it with the pliers, not turning with the pliers, but turning with the spool. Eventually I was able to work that free. This is definitely an exercise in patience. All right, well, clean up that stainless steel. Get all the old dirt off. And while I'm doing this, if you have any questions on this or any reel, if you want to know more, just leave those questions in the comment section. I will try to answer them for you. A lot of folks would have given up on this reel. I figure it's already given up on because, well, it wasn't working. Take some chances, and sometimes those chances pan out for you. They did today. All right. I'm just going to inspect, make sure I did not damage those teeth. I did not. It's clean. We burned everything off of it. I'm going to put a little bit of grease back on here. A little bit of grease onto the yoke. The side with the slot in it faces in. Just make sure I clean off that old grease there. Slip that under. And then you can close this back up to keep it in position. Seems like that's going to need a little oil there as well. So I don't know where all of this wheel has been, but for now, there's a very good chance that this wheel is going to go work again. All right, take a moment here. We've somewhat cleaned the axle shaft. I see some mores on there. I'm going to use some steel wool here just to get that last little part off. There's some scarring going on here. I see that at the bottom. So if this thing runs a little bit rough, I understand why. I'll grease that shaft so it doesn't seize again. Now we got a nice even spinning shaft the way it should be. Now we need to put that anti-reverse back on. This hook goes under. It's going to sit like that, but we got to bring it over the post. I guess what we can do is do it this way. It's probably easier. Pin the dog up and under. Slide it up and over. Hold it in place. Now put the post down. Now we have that anti-reverse clicking away, doing what it should be doing. And quite honestly, now we can put it back in the case once we put that bearing back in. High oil bearings, I don't grease them. The bearing can go back in the case here. Let's take the time to clean. Yeah, see, we have sand and things like that in here, which kind of leads to that hypothesis about this one going under. I'm going to use the penetrating oil to flush that out. All right, now we're clean there. Bring the post back in. Line them up accordingly. Find the notch for your free spool release. And then let's put this back together. Sometimes people say, you know, don't you get tired of, you know, fixing other people's problems? Well, that's second chance tackle. Giving it the second chance to go fishing again, right? Sometimes it's more than some folks would attempt to do or want to do. Sometimes it's very rewarding, so you be the judge. 2 bridge screws go below here. And I'm thinking that has to go on before the, well, there's a whole bunch of things got to go on before. I guess I got so excited about freeing up the gear shaft, I forgot to do the rest of this. Oh well, please bear with me. All right, let's do the rest of this. Need to put the main gear on, right? How about that? All right, there's a washer underneath. I don't need to do anything with the washer underneath. It just runs on the post. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about these. Kind of stuck to each other. This is a traditional 6-washer set. I'm going to use my steel wool here, and this gear's some rust on it. Paint that with some real grease. Check the teeth. I'm going to pull a wire brush through here just to make sure that there's anything that's clogging this up. I get that out of there. It's kind of like a traumatic brain injury on this one. I hope that it comes back fully restored here. Let's grease the main gear. Nick, you might be getting lucky here. Beautiful reel. It's gone through a lot, and looks like maybe it'll live to go through some more. There's two washers that have rectangular centers in them. Those are called keyed washers. Clean them off. One goes on the bottom, one goes on the top. Put some grease back onto these washers. They're kind of a fabric washer. One in the middle is called an eared washer. It has 2 points, and they go in the slots of the main gear. Let's go grease that last one here. And I use my glove tool as my gloved hand as a tool to spread that grease around. And bring this on. Now the collar goes on, and now I guess I can hardly contain my excitement. Now I can put that side plate back on. Find the slot in the case that's going to line up. We'll put some penetrating oil on there. Let's put some real oil on the slide here. That's real oil with a R-E-E-L. Bring that back in. Align the slot. Align the screws. Let's tighten this up. When I tighten it up, I like to alternate my sides, high and low. And north, south, east, west. Very similar in nature to a pattern that the pen reels use. Not the same pattern, but both of them use a four screw set. Okay, turn it. Hey, it's turning. There you go. We have that old rust on the shaft. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to use a steel wool. This is 4-0 steel wool. It's not a very abrasive one. It will polish, but it will also remove some of that old rust that's on there. And then just run it, make sure it's nice and clean so that we will have the slip and the slide. And then make sure the shoulders on your spool here are okay. This is a scraper here. There's a little bit of something still on here. Okay, good. Grab your brush, put a little bit of grease on there so the inside of that pinion gear doesn't stick. Put a little bit of grease onto the non-gear side. We've already oiled the bearing. You could put a drop of oil onto the click mechanism. That's all that's going on this back side, so you do not need to remove that side if you don't want to. Place the spool in. Let's go ahead and put the case on. Make sure it seals. Remember, we have one short screw, two long screws. This is the short one. If you notice that this is spinning, it's only because there's a screw collar that goes through the side plate up here. You'll just want to clamp down on that collar to make sure you can pull it through. That's the collar right there. Kind of like some of those holdfasts that they have in an Ocean City wheel. And we have the two long ones go below. And I think I made a rookie mistake here. I think one of these I may have put in the bridge. Matter of fact, I'm sure I put that one in the bridge because it's a little bit thicker. Now that's two oopses today. Let's see how many more we can score before we're done. First one, of course, was trying to put that bridge plate in without the gearing. That wouldn't have gone too far. Alright, well, we'll just pick one. Let's see if this happens to be the one. I got lucky. I thought I had those separated enough that I could keep the side plate ones distinct from the bridge plate ones. I did not. No need to panic. Okay, that's back together again. We have a washer that goes on top of that collar. We have our star adjuster. One side's proud on the star adjuster, that goes inside. Tighten that down by hand as much as you can. You want to make sure that as you're doing this, you're not cross-stripping anything. Next up is a washer that goes under the handle. Then the handle. We're getting close. Then the E-clip. It's going to hold that shaft back on. We'll let the E-clip do the work this time rather than the rust. Make sure that seats in the slot. And we have the handle nut cap. And here's where you need to make sure you're all the way tightened down on this, because if you don't have the handle down enough, your nut cap is not going to go on. Alright, nut cap on, tighten it. First thing we should have is a free spool rather than a lockup. So let's go over to free spool. Look at that, we have free spool. Alright, this one way out of adjustment. You can hear the knock in there. So this needs to be adjusted. Tighten that bearing down and look better. Now you have two sides that you can work with on that bearing. So you want to center your spool, and that may mean tighten the one side, loosen the other. It's like the first generation of the Abrams. All right, let's see what we got now. Now we got a nicely turning reel, so I'm all excited now because this should turn too. Look at that. We're up and running again. Click, click, click. We have our anti-reverse. Tighten down on your star adjuster. We have our drag washers. Saved, ready to get a second chance. Classic Newell bearing noise. And I guess you could upgrade that to ceramic bearings if you wanted to quiet that down. There you go. That's how to bring back a Newell reel that was seized. And well, I showed you a couple of tricks there about that gear shaft and the pinion gear too, about what to do should you find yourself with a reel that has that issue. What is that issue? The reel doesn't turn, or you can't get in the free spool. Almost all the time, if the free spool lever refuses to move, what you're going to find is that you have a pinion gear frozen to the spool. There you go. All right, Nick, you're lucky. Got real lucky with this one, and I hope you've been watching. I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel and everybody involved in public safety for all they do. And I want to thank you for watching and for making this channel what it is. Wishing everybody a great day on the water, friendships with fishing, and well, fun, even if some of these might seem frustrating, fun repairing your reels and keeping them serviced. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.